This is AAC Sports Central, your one-stop shop for all American Athletic Conference, college football, and basketball news. In this video, I will be making predictions for the American Athletic Conference's 2023 college football season's Week 0 and Week 1 games. Let's get started. First up is Charlotte versus South Carolina State, a Week 1 matchup. If Charlotte cannot beat South Carolina State at home, then they are in for a really tough season. Luckily, I think that Bill Poggi is a much better coach than that. I predict an easy 30-point win here that will begin Charlotte's crusade to be a top team in the AAC. Go Charlotte! Next up is East Carolina versus Michigan. East Carolina had a record of 8-5 last year and impressively beat UCF, Memphis, BYU, and Coastal Carolina all in the same season. Though East Carolina has shown that it can hang with and beat the best in the AAC, Michigan is another beast. Michigan had a record of 13-1 last year and went undefeated in the Big Ten, obliterating Penn State and thoroughly beating their arch nemesis Ohio State, earning a spot in the 2022 college football playoff. Michigan ranks number 5 among FBS teams in returning production, while East Carolina ranks a distant 130. I am predicting an easy 20-plus point win for Michigan in Week 1. Next up is Florida Atlantic versus Monmouth, a Week 1 matchup. Monmouth, a FCS school, had a record of 5-6 in 2022, beating Georgetown, Villanova, Lehigh, the University of Albany, and Stony Brook. Monmouth did not play any FBS teams in 2022. Florida Atlantic has the number 3 highest percentage of returning production among FBS teams at 83%, trailing only Kansas and Florida State. Considering the recent coaching change in Tom Herman and the level of experience returning production from a 2022 team that went 5-7, mostly due to bad coaching and not due to the level of talent on the team, Florida Atlantic should coast to an easy season opening 20 to 30 point win here. Next up is Memphis versus BethuneCookman, a Week 1 matchup. BethuneCookman, a FCS school, went 2-9 in 2022, with their only wins being against FCS foes Mississippi Valley State and Grambling State. BethuneCookman has historically performed badly against FCS teams in general, at all levels, all the way down to CUSA and the Sun Belt. I'm taking Memphis for the easy win here. Next up is Navy versus Notre Dame, a Week 0 matchup. This is the only AAC game for Week 0. Notre Dame had a record of 9-4 in 2022 with wins against North Carolina, California, BYU, UNLV, Syracuse, Clemson, Boston College, South Carolina, and a close 35-32 win versus Navy. Navy had a record of 4-8 last year with close wins against ECU, Temple, UCF, and a 32-point win against Tulsa. With 75% of its production returning in 2023, Navy should not fall off too much and may even improve. Notre Dame is bringing back 68% of its production back, so some regression may be in store. Considering the close game between these two in 2022 and the slight edge that Navy has in returning production, I am predicting a Navy upset win here. Next up is North Texas and Cal, a Week 1 matchup. North Texas had a record of 7-7 in 2022, with 6 wins against CUSA teams and 1 win against Texas Southern, an FCS team. Cal, on the other hand, went 4-8 and earned wins against 2 poorly performing Pac-12 teams in Arizona and Stanford. Considering that North Texas lost 48-10 to SMU, who had an AAC record of 5-3 themselves and a 7-6 record overall, I am going with Cal here, but who knows, it is Cal, so anything can happen. Next up is Rice versus Texas, a Week 1 matchup. No statistics are needed here. This is Rice versus Texas, and Texas has Archie Manning in its arsenal. I'm predicting a Texas win here. Next up is SMU versus Louisiana Tech, a Week 1 matchup. Louisiana Tech went 3-9 last year in CUSA. SMU went 7-6 in the AAC. SMU is ranked 117th among all FBS schools for returning production at 52%, while Louisiana Tech is ranked number 26 at 72%. This can go one of two ways. Louisiana Tech's returning production's experience may make them a better team, or the returning production may extend LA Tech's suckage. Either way, I am predicting an SMU win to be safe, though a close upset by Louisiana Tech is not an extreme outcome here. Next up is Temple versus Akron, a Week 1 matchup. No statistics are needed here. Temple should win this game by at least 10 points, even with their 3-9 2022 record. Akron went 2-10 in the MAC in 2022, only beating St. Francis University, an FCS team, and Northern Illinois, who should be an FCS team. Next up is Tulane versus South Alabama, a Week 1 matchup. I wonder if Tulane will regress to their mean this year, which is around 3 to 7 wins annually. I have a hunch that their winning ways will stick this time, much like UAB. Since South Alabama went 10-3 last year and lost a close game to UCLA in 2022 by 1 point, I am predicting this as a close Tulane win by less than 15 points. Next up is Tulsa versus the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. The University of Arkansas Pine Bluff is an FCS school which had a 3-8 record in 2022, with their only wins against 2 FCS schools in Lane College and Alabama State, and one NAIA school in North American University. Tulsa went 5-7 last year, with wins against 4 FBS schools: Houston, USF, Northern Illinois, and Temple, and a win against the formerly FCS and now CUSA member Jacksonville State. I am predicting a Tulsa win here. Next up is UAB versus North Carolina A&T, a Week 1 matchup. It's North Carolina A&T. I am going with UAB here, even with Trent Dilfer as their coach. Next up is South Florida versus Western Kentucky, a Week 1 matchup. Western Kentucky had a 9-5 record in 2022 and beat South Alabama in the New Orleans Bowl by 21 points, and has a quarterback on the Davey O'Brien National Quarterback Award preseason watch list, who threw for over 4,700 yards and 40 touchdowns in 2022, averaging about 3 touchdowns a game. USF went 1-11 in 2022 and had a starting quarterback in 2022 who threw for a total of 1,070 yards and 6 touchdowns. I am going with the Hilltoppers on this one. Go Western Kentucky. Next up is UTSA versus Houston. This one may end up being the granddaddy of them all, really. I am not going to delve into stats here. I am going to go with my instinct. UTSA will win this game as a statement for and to the AAC. Until next time, America, please like and subscribe.